He was 28 years old and had $14.62 in his bank account the morning his alarm went off at 5 a.m. His shoes were torn at the heel, his phone screen was cracked like a spiderweb, and the uniform he wore every night smelled like cold coffee and old carpet. Maybe this is you right now, working hard, still broke, telling yourself you'll start one day. He didn't wake up early because he was disciplined. He woke up because he was ashamed. Ashamed that his mother's medical bills were stacked on the kitchen counter. Ashamed that he had once promised her he'd make it. What he did at 5 a.m. didn't look powerful, but what happened next, nobody expected. Marcus Hill worked as a night security guard in a half-empty office building on 47th Street in Cleveland. From 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., he sat behind a gray metal desk under buzzing fluorescent lights. The building smelled like dust and burnt wiring. The only sounds were the hum of vending machines and the slow tick of a clock that seemed to mock him. He walked the same hallways every hour, same locked doors, same flickering exit sign. He hated it. But what he hated more was how he'd ended up there. Marcus wasn't lazy, he was stubborn, proud to the point of self-sabotage. He dropped out of community college after one bad semester because he didn't need help. He'd quit a warehouse job after his supervisor corrected him in front of others. He carried anger like armor. He lived with his mother in a small apartment on Brookline Avenue. Her cough echoed through thin walls at night. Diabetes had slowed her down. Medical bills stacked up beside the microwave. One morning, after his shift, he came home and opened the fridge. Half a gallon of milk, 2 eggs, a plastic container of leftover rice. "That's fine," he muttered. "I'm not that hungry." But he was. Hungry for something bigger, just too proud to admit he didn't know how to get it. Every night at work, he watched motivational videos on his cracked phone. He'd nod, feel fired up, and then do nothing. Because deep down, he believed something dangerous. People like me don't really get ahead. It happened on a Thursday at 4:37 a.m. Marcus was scrolling on his phone when his supervisor, Carl, stepped out of the elevator. Carl was younger than him, cleaner uniform, calm voice. "You asleep?" Carl asked. "No," Marcus snapped. Carl looked at the security monitor. One camera feed was black. "You missed that one," Carl said. "You've got to pay attention." Something small, simple, but Marcus felt heat crawl up his neck. "I'm doing my job," he shot back. Carl didn't argue. He just sighed. "Marcus, if you want better shifts, you've got to show it." Better shifts. That word stung. After Carl walked away, Marcus stared at his reflection in the dark monitor screen. He looked tired, smaller than he felt inside. On his break, he checked his bank app. $14.62. He imagined his mother at the pharmacy counting coins, and something cracked. Not anger, not pride. Enough. He whispered it to himself in the empty hallway. Enough. At 5 a.m., when his shift ended, he didn't go straight home. He walked outside into the cold blue light of early morning. The city was quiet. Breath fogged in the air. The sun was just starting to rise behind the buildings. For the first time, he didn't feel trapped. He felt responsible. That morning, instead of sleeping immediately, he sat at the small kitchen table and wrote 3 words on a torn receipt. 5 a.m. every day. He decided. The first week was ugly. His alarm screamed at 5 a.m. even on days off. His body hated him. He'd get home at 6:30, sleep until 10:30, wake up groggy, and then force himself up again at 5 p.m. before work to simulate the rhythm. It made no sense to anyone else. His mother noticed. "Why are you up so early now?" she asked one morning, stirring oatmeal. Marcus shrugged. "Just trying something." Trying something meant sitting at the kitchen table while the apartment was quiet and the world hadn't started yelling yet. He didn't scroll. He didn't watch videos. He opened free online courses on his cracked phone, basic IT support certifications. He'd always been good with computers in high school. At 5 a.m., it was quiet enough to think. One morning, while scribbling notes, he did simple math. 2 hours every day. 2 hours times 365 days equals 730 hours. 730 hours. That's over 30 full days of focused work, an extra month of life. He stared at the number. He had always said he didn't have time, but he'd had 730 hidden hours. He felt something shift, not motivation, ownership. He printed out a cheap calendar and taped it to the wall. Every day he woke up at 5 a.m. and studied, he marked a red X. "Don't break the chain," he muttered. Some mornings he wanted to. His inner voice whispered, "You're still broke. This won't matter." But he remembered Carl's words, "You've got to show it." So he showed up. At work, instead of scrolling, he started fixing small tech issues in the building, restarting routers, labeling wires, watching tutorials during quiet hours. One night, Carl noticed. "You know about this stuff?" Carl asked, pointing to a cable Marcus had neatly organized. "A little," Marcus said. Carl nodded slowly. "Didn't know that." For the first time in years, Marcus felt seen for something other than being the quiet guard in the corner. 3 months in, progress was fragile. He'd passed one certification exam, barely. His bank account wasn't much better. His sleep schedule was brutal. Then his mother collapsed in the kitchen. The ambulance lights painted the apartment red and blue. The smell of antiseptic filled the air. Marcus sat in a stiff hospital chair, exhausted. Medical bills, more debt. The old voice came back strong. "See, this is real life, not online courses." He missed 3 mornings, no 5 a.m. alarm, no red X on the calendar. On the 4th morning, he stared at the blank square on the wall. Chain broken. He felt small again. At work that night, Carl approached him. "You okay?" Carl asked quietly. Marcus hesitated, pride rising. Then he swallowed it. "My mom's in the hospital," he said. Carl nodded. "Take tomorrow off, and don't stop whatever you were doing, I've noticed." Not a speech, just a sentence. Don't stop. Marcus went home and stood in the dark kitchen at 4:59 a.m. His alarm went off. He closed his eyes. For a second, quitting felt warm, comfortable. Then he remembered the hospital hallway, and he chose. He turned on the light. The next 6 months were quiet warfare. 5 a.m., cold floor under his feet, coffee brewing, keyboard clicking softly. He studied networking systems, practiced troubleshooting, took notes by hand to stay awake. Sometimes he failed practice tests. Sometimes he stared at the screen and understood nothing. But he didn't break the chain again. At work, he asked the building manager if he could help the IT contractor during maintenance visits. The contractor, a woman named Denise, raised an eyebrow. "Use security?" Marcus replied. "I know, but I'm studying this." She tested him, asked basic questions. He answered most. "Show up Saturday," she said. "Unpaid. We'll see." Saturday mornings were brutal, but he showed up. He carried equipment, observed, asked questions without pretending he knew everything. Pride slowly rebuilt into humility. One evening, Denise handed him a small task. "Fix that terminal," she said. His hands shook. He worked through it step by step, like he practiced at 5 a.m. When the screen flickered back to life, Denise nodded once. Not bad. Not praise, but earned. He added that moment to his growing stack of quiet wins. A year after that first 5 a.m. decision, Marcus stood in the same office building, but not behind the metal desk. He was in a small server room, badge clipped to a new polo shirt with the company's IT department logo. Carl walked in. "Guess I'll need someone else for night shift," Carl said with a grin. Marcus laughed softly. His bank account wasn't overflowing, but it wasn't $14.62. His mother's medication was paid for on time. His shoes were new. More important than all of that, he no longer believed that people like him don't get ahead. Because he had evidence. He had 365 red X's on a calendar to prove otherwise. He didn't get lucky. He earned it. And for the first time, he felt he deserved it. The lesson wasn't about waking up early. It was about deciding that your quiet hours matter. Marcus discovered that 2 hours every day equals 730 hours a year, an extra month of focused effort most people give away to sleep, scrolling, or doubt. He didn't change overnight. He changed one square on a calendar at a time, one choice at 5 a.m., one refusal to quit when it would have been easier, one moment of swallowing pride and asking for help. 1 year later, his life wasn't perfect, but it was rebuilt. Tonight, before you sleep, write down one skill you will practice for 30 days. Set your alarm 1 hour earlier. Protect that hour like it pays your rent, because one day it might. Comment below, what is the one habit you keep starting but never finish? Maybe this story wasn't about Marcus. Maybe it was meant for you.